part 2 of tonight's stream. We're going to get these creative juices flowing. We're going to go through the dice roll summary to create a random character. This is going to get a mental exercise in. We're going to go up to a nice jog, get a nice head of steam going here as we pull a character from the mists of ethereal space. He or she's going to coalesce in front of us and isn't going to be a pile of numbers, as we are going to tell a story with this character, alongside this character. Why does the character exist the way that he or she does? What are some motivations? What are some backgrounds? Not just the mechanical background. We're going to build a character so that if you were to access a database of the characters we've built, you would have inspiration of some kind to say, oh, you know what, I'm going to take this concept and we're going to go from there. Maybe I can go up a little bit. I don't know. What do you all think of the hat? Alright, starting at the top, handy dandy character generator. We're going to determine the gender of the character and if the character is a multi-classed one. 1 to 45 is female, 46 to 90 is male, 91 to 100 is a multi-class character, and we'll re-roll for the gender after that. For this, we've reset our dice roller, and I use this on screen because it's a little bit easier to present to you all instead of just taking the cam and pointing it down and doing things that way. Oh, well, Sir Rhodey, I guess that's, I mean, a hazard at your own risk. I'm sorry that you ended up getting in the middle of something there. In a way, I guess this is why I'm a cat guy. I like dogs, don't get me wrong. We used to have a wiener dog named Boris. But, I don't know. Cats are my jam. Okay. Percentile right down here. 1D 100. And remember, that's a command in there, so you can always roll that stuff for funsies in the chat. This is going to be a 69, which any sort of snarky snark aside is going to put us as a male. But a male what? We're going to roll 1d10. And really what we can do here is roll 2d10, not a percentile. We'll roll 2d10. The first number is going to determine the race, and then odds or evens on the second is going to determine the sub-race. We're going to change this to 2d10, hit roll. 8 and 8. Half-Orc. Ooh, another Half-Orc. This is our second one. And because this was evens, this Half-Orc is going to favor his human side. Half-Orcs don't have an official, well, as far as I know, I don't know if this is going to date the video, as far as I know, and especially out of the core PHB, they don't have a sub-race themselves. If we look at a lot of these races, they are half human, half something else. So the sub-race isn't to a mechanical benefit, but the sub-race could be to a role-playing benefit. In this case, we have a half-orc that is favoring his human half. Maybe because his human parent is the one who raised him, or even if not, maybe he had these aspirations of wanting to be like the humans. He could have grown up in the middle of orcs and is really curious, or in the middle of humans and has just been exposed to it. But this is going to give us a role-play bend on the half-orc. Instead of just saying, oh, well, do we have a hill dwarf or a mountain dwarf? And then we put some numbers down. Next up is going to be our alignment, which is going to be 2d100s. The first is going to determine good, neutral, or evil, and the second is then going to go on the axes of lawful, neutral, or chaotic. 67.29. Coming down here, 67, okay. As you can see, I weighted this world or city or whatever we're building to be more good than not. But here we're going to have a neutral and a 29, lawful neutral. Okay, very interesting. We can get some more personality building as we're going and filling these gaps in. Lawful neutral, male half-orc, favors his human half. Level is D100. We don't have to worry about multi-class. So let's reset this to 1D100. Hit roll. 78. Ooh. He's going to have a little bit of power. Here we go. This is a level 13. Level 13 something. 1D100 again. Does this character use feats instead of ability score adjustments? Or increases, ASIs? Oh, come on. 96. Ooh, okay. So this is going to be 96 to 100. We're going to take 3 if possible. So this character isn't going to have high base stats as a specialty or as a focus. Instead, he's going to take those bumps as feats instead to focus in a different fashion. This is going to end up being an interesting build. Where do I want to note this? We'll just kind of put 3 feats over here. Cool. Now, for a major component as well, is a 1d12 to determine which class out of the PHB this male half-orc is. Let's roll it. 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A rogue. Being this high a level, we're going to roll a 3-sided die, right? So we have we have a representation of something like this. 3-sided die. And in case you're watching this separately on YouTube, there was a dice segment that we did right before this on our Twitch stream. 1. 1 for a rogue is thief. Our background, now we're going to come down, add a 1 here for a 13-sided die. Remember, we saw one of those in the specialty sections. Hit roll. 10. Background number 10 is a little bit further down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sage. We're going to build a really spicy character. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Being a sage, there is some sort of other consideration, which is going to necessitate a d6 roll. Let's get that out of the way. A 1. I'm going to put that as an indicator up here about which kind of sage we're randomly generating. Then we're going to generate 2d8 for 2 personality traits. Hit roll. 1 and 1. Well, we'll put a 1. And 3. Now, that was an executive decision on my behalf. If you wanted to do this and you rolled 2 of the same number, maybe he's just super intently focused on this personality trait, single-minded to this particular point. That's perfectly fine. If you're subjecting yourself to the whims and whims of random characters generation and you're up for the roleplay challenge, sure, make him very focused in that regard. Here, in order to try and flesh out a little bit more story for a randomized character, I rolled again until I got a not 1. Roytel says, Half-Orc favoring human side was my first and so far only 5e character. Ah, well, this could have been your fate. Pardon me. Okay. Oh, we have a few more things to fill in here. Next is going to be 3d6, so we can fill in an ideal, a bond, and a flaw for the character. Change this to a 3d6. Hit roll. Ooh, 222. You know, we had 1-1 originally, 222. When we're going through this process, maybe an extra little bit of spice is numbers come to this character, or there's something about this character that has alignment, or you know that this one phenomena always seems to happen around him. You know, as an extra side bonus, right? Because what are the odds? Well, the odds are such that we're getting these repetitive numbers. Why not work it into the character? It's a unique flair, and it's a way to set our thief apart from other thieves. Alright, that stuff is taken care of. Oh, pardon me. Again, this is from... As I'm still getting into this, it's from talking a lot to you all, from being very verbose, making sure I'm projecting my voice. It's a way for my body to remind me, breathe, you need oxygen. Let's go to our generator for height and weight. Here is the stats taken out of the PHB for our convenience and reference. To generate this, we're going to start at 4'10", and then we're going to roll 2d10, which is already up here, and we get 18. So we're going to add that to our 4'10". We're going to add that amount of inches. So we have 5'10" with 2 inches left over, or derp. 5'10" with 6 inches left over. Then we go into so he's going to be 6'4". Nice tall boy here. We're going to take this same 18 that we generated and roll 2d6. That is going to be the extra weight that the character is carrying above the starting point of 140 pounds. Change the 3 to a 2, hit roll. 6. So we have 6 times 18, that's 48. So that's that's 108 extra pounds. So we have a 248. Unless I'm derping out. Sorry, I'm trying to do this quick math in front of you all, so you're all just not sitting there like, oh, it's numbers. I'm tired of numbers. Though, if I didn't do arithmetic correctly, then shame on me, and maybe I should do some simple math problems on the side. Okay. Yeah, we got a big boy here. He may be a thief, but maybe we're going to style him like the bouncer style thief or a rogue, where, you know, you hit hard, you're a bit of a you know, you're that kind of you could be like a thug enforcer, a mafioso bodyguard, something along those lines. You're just a bouncer at a bar, even. Now we come down to Half-Orc Age. Their cultural or intellectual adulthood starts at 14. It's somewhat similar to a human. We're going to see how old this orc is by a percentile roll. 1d100, hitting roll. 64. 64 is weighted so that he is going to be in midlife. You do not have to indicate this necessarily on your character sheet. I do this as another storytelling reference point. The human life example here on the right, I indicated because you have a lot of long-lived races in D&D. Look at this. Elves can live to be 750 years old, and they start adulthood at 100. So what are the general categories for something that's easier for us to understand, like humans, that would, you know, you could put a variable on it in some form or fashion and give yourself an approximate range. Oh, well, you know, midlife for an elf would be between here and here, or, you know, for a gnome, or in this case, a half-orc. Pardon. A human midlife is 41 to 55 years. So that's giving us about a 15-year spread. We can, we could bump it back a little bit and say that it's an 18-year spread. The first 3 would be minus from there, and then we can go up a little bit from there. Let's make a custom die, or in this case, hey, if we have an 18-sided die, then we could roll that as well. We're coming up with fun, creative ways of using these dice from the other presentation. Hit roll. 15. Okay, so if we're gonna go 38, 39, or 39, 40, 41, plus the 15. Okay, so we have... Maybe he's just getting ready to retire. He's at the end. He's a level 13 rogue. He's lived a storied existence. Not everyone makes it to level 20. That's for, very, very few people. You are lucky as an adventurer in the fact that you are exposed to all this stuff that will hone you and refine you. But, the higher level that someone gets, it's going to be rarer and rarer to see. How many challenges exist that could actually threaten that character or have them learn and grow? And here, it seems like we have a bouncer of some kind. A big tough, almost like a tanky rogue. Don't get me wrong. In 5th edition, rogues can tank. You go like Barbarian Rogue or something, and you have a very cool, he's not the Knight in Shining Armor tank, but he can do a lot to avoid damage. Here we have this bouncer style rogue that is going to get ready to retire soon, it seems. He's made it this far. He probably has some scars on his body from all the stuff that he's been through, has a lot of stories to tell, and here we go. Am I coming through okay for you all? Is the mic all right? And I want to make sure that we're still broadcasting loud and clear for you. Okay, that looks about right. We filled in some of the ancillary details. We're getting some more personality. We're not going to need this English or common. Do I speak it? Yes, I do. On occasion. We will not need the 3rd page for spells unless something super interesting happens along the character creation. Thank you, Sarati, for letting me know. I think there was one time I forgot to push the button and I was talking and the mic wasn't picking anything up. Ooh, I'm special. Alright, we've finished with this page. We've gone through the chart. We've applied all of this, and we have a solid foundation to build this character. Away with you. Won't need to worry about this. Away with you. I'm going to start with the background in this case, because backgrounds give us proficiencies, skills, equipment, and other things that we don't want to be redundant with when we go back to our race and class. And I find it's easier from a storytelling standpoint to have a background. Though the official quote-unquote way of making a character is choose your race, choose your class, then you can choose a background after. Oh, pardon me. Come on, breathe. Oxygen. We're coming to Sage. These are listed alphabetically. Outlander. Here's a Sage. Here's our specialty. And we rolled 1 as our specialty. So this is going to be a Sage Alchemist. Very cool. Our skill proficiencies are Arcana and History. We get 2 languages of our choice. So, being a half-orc, we are going to get Common. We are going to get Orcish. By being a rogue, we're going to get Thieves' Cant. And now, I'm going to indicate that with question marks as placeholders. We're going to get 2 other languages. Ooh, this guy is actually kind of a smart rogue. This is going to be cool. Hi, Delcorin. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. We had our dice section, and now we're building a new character from the ground up using the rules that we've gone over. Equipment. Ink bottle. Quill. Ooh. Small knife. Not to be confused with a dagger. Maybe that does a D4 or a D2 damage instead of D4 if you want. This is like pocket knife, a whittling knife kind of a thing. Ooh, a letter from a dead colleague posing a question you have not yet been able to answer. There's a way to write this in a condensed fashion. And just because the book says it's a dead colleague, does it have to be? No, this is your story. You're building this character. This is yours. You can work it out with a DM. This sounds like a cool inbuilt plot hook, and they are pre-baiting the hook a little bit. We'll just put unsolved mystery. Ooh. Belt pouch. Common clothes. And 10 gupas. Delcorin, I tuned at the best time. Hey, well, yeah. You know, I feel a little bad because I think you wanted to know about the dice segment, but it'll go up on YouTube. Someone was helping me make a ranger, and I kept ending up on that page. That character has some nice arrows. Yes, very nice arrows. Feature. This is features and traits. I broke it down. You can do this differently at home. This is the way that I found is being more efficient in presenting to you all. Researcher. When you attempt to learn or recall a piece of lore, if you do not know that information, you often know where and from whom you can obtain it. Oh, pardon me. These things just keep coming. I'm hoping I'm not having a ripple effect on you at home, and this is causing you to yawn. Because in turn, maybe that's what's coming back to me too. Yawning is a karmic cycle. Anyway, usually this information comes from a library, scriptorium, university, or a sage or other learned person or creature. Your DM might rule that the knowledge you seek is secreted away in an almost inaccessible place, or that it simply cannot be found. Unearthing the deepest secrets of the multiverse can require an adventurer, or even a whole campaign. You know what this is sounding like? We have ourselves an Indiana Jones here, right? A scholar rogue, someone who's nimble, can go through traps, try and disarm them, has all of this knowledge, right? Because he's Dr. Jones, not just professor. So I think we're building a half-orc Indiana Jones style character here. Fiendish, thank you very much. I had my wool cap, my old man hat on earlier for the first segment, and I'm gonna try and mix it up because I have a lot of different hats. Just as I have different flair and buttons for my signature suspenders. So I'll try them on different broadcasts and see where it goes from there. I got to find something cool to put. There's like a little area here I can slide something in the leather band. So, yes, a man of many hats. All right, so we have this Indiana Jones style. Because this is a level 13 character, I might get a lot of features and traits. If you need to write these down for yourself, do so on your character sheet, however you want to do it. For our purposes of building a character over the course of about an hour together on Twitch, and to be rebroadcast on YouTube, I'm going to put this as a footnote, and just know that you should go back and, using the tags under which these features are found, you can read the specific details. Personality trait. We have a 1. I use polysyllabic words that convey the impression of great erudition. Talk about a stereotype breaker, right? He's not even just the noble savage half-orc. He done learned him words good. And 3, I'm used to helping out those who aren't as smart as I am, and I patiently explain anything and everything to others. Oh, this is a cool character. I'm so excited about this. I'm already thinking a couple steps ahead to how we're going to weave him into a story at the end of the week. Whether it's a campaign location, as an NPC or something along those lines. Memory says, a DM is a person of many hats, goes with the style. Might be something I'll do during games to see if anyone catches on. Yeah, especially if there's characters that you're playing, NPCs or something along those lines. You can swap hats out. And in addition to doing accents, although hats can replace accents, by changing something along those lines, you're helping to distinguish the characters. What is our character's ideal? 2. Beauty. What is beautiful points us beyond itself toward what is true. We have rolled, well, I guess ruled he's lawful neutral, but also rolled that he is a lawful neutral character. While this ideal does tend to favor good aligned characters, there's nothing that will keep this ideal from helping to shape a lawful neutral one either. So keep this in mind as I almost poked my eye, and we are going to imagine a fuller backstory. Bonds 2. I have an ancient text that holds terrible secrets that must not fall into the wrong hands. That's true. If we're making an Indiana Jones, those pesky Nazis are going to be chasing after us. Lastly, because none of us are perfect human beings or otherwise, we all have flaws, and his is number 2. Most people scream and run when they see a demon. I stop and take notes on its anatomy. Oh, goodness. When we finish this character, I hope I either get to run him in some way, if not as a PC, then to insert him as a NPC, or one of you all gets to play this character. This sounds like a lot of fun. Oh, thank you for the Delcorin sent over a suggestion for the button for the hat. I'll take a look at that, and maybe we'll explore it after the character's done, and we take our next break. Cool. Now let's pop back up races. We're going to come down. Half-Orc is, if I recall correctly, the second to last. Yeah, there we go. Half-Orc. Okay. Ability score increase. We're going to make a little footnote here. We're going to get a 2 to strength, and our con is going to get a boost of 1. Age we have, alignment, size is medium. Our base walking speed is 30 feet. Our race is going to give us the trait of dark vision, 60 feet. Menacing, if you don't want to write this down, just know that we have intimidation set. Relentless endurance. Remember, I'm putting down the title, and these can be referenced back later in your Pahabas at home because of the way that they're split out and said where each of these are coming from. Plus, if you've played this character, let's say you started at level 1 and now this is your character at 13, you might only need the title footnote because you've used this ability so much. Savage attacks. Okay. Yep, and we already have our languages. So there's our racial modifiers and goodies. Come down here. These are in order, monk, paladin, and... Nope, one more. RA into RO. Here we go. This is... As a note, 13d8, so our hit dice is d8s. He's at full. We get armor, light armor, weapons, simple hand crossbows, long swords, rapiers. You know what, let's just put L/S swords and rapiers. We also receive proficiency in thieves' tools. Saving throws are going to be Dex and Int. And now we get 4 because rogues are second only to bards in being the skill monkeys of the party. Oh, Memory Left says, I love the flaw in the 6 personality trait. Del Coronas got a campaign in mind for this character. Sounds good for one with a lot of dungeon hopping. I agree. Oh, and hey, Cherries, welcome back. It's good to have you all. For any of you fresh viewers in, or even those who've been lurking for a while, we are getting knee-deep now into a really cool random character. We have kind of an Indiana Jones, professorial, roguish half-orc. And we've been using some interesting dice that were carryover from our prior session. Yeah, you made it to another stream. Cool. This is going to be positive. This is going to give you some energy, some good creative thinking. And we're all in this together to tell a story. So as I'm presenting these options to you all, you in the audience, please, you can work things out, say, oh, well, what about this? Or I really like this. Or maybe instead of Indiana Jones, he's more of like Nicolas Cage in National Treasure. That is an educated rogue, right? There's other examples from movies or books or maybe an original character you made for something. So chat, we can have a conversation, put ideas out there, and we'll see if we can work them in. Because this isn't my character, this is our character. Nicolas Cage, oh Lord. Well, yeah, maybe though this one won't have a cage of bees put on his head. I know that was from a different movie than National Treasure, but... oh boy. Acrobatic, so he's going to tend to be more towards strength. Strength and int. I mean, Dex is going to be important. What to choose? I'd almost argue we want to build a well-rounded rogue. He's just on the verge of retiring. He's 55. He's at the end of his career. And that could also explain maybe why he's not like the strongest or most dexterous either. Benedict Cumberbatch. Let's try playing to a couple strengths, one of those being strength. So we'll go strength, and we want him intelligent as well. So athletics, investigation. So there's 2. Maybe persuasion, if we're making him this kind of professorial sage-like. And I guess perception, right? If he's kind of a treasure hunter, or if he's this kind of like person who's supposed to be aware, if you're looking for traps and all this, going in ancient temples, that would seem to make sense. Memory says rogues rely heavily on dex. That is true. In this case, this character might not be optimized in dex. We get long swords. That's a strength-based weapon that we can use. We can go for the heavy rogue in this case, not just the tumbling acrobatic one. So while memory, you did bring up a good point. Let's challenge ourselves and not go for the pure dex rogue. See how it turns out. It's our, as Bob Ross would put it, it's our bravery test. Now we're up here, we can fill in some more numbers. Our proficiency bonus at 13 is a +5. Right, because we're looking at this line right up here. Well, if it'll steady. There we go. We are going to get sneak attack of 7d6. Oh, that's some spike damage. In my opinion, a heavy rogue is a fighter that will also pick your pocket. I suppose so. What's the difference between a heavy rogue and a fighter? Well, in this case, you're going to get someone who's more skillful. It's not going to hit as hard as a fighter, because fighters can attack twice. They can even take another action. They have hit point recovery. They're meant for brawling more, whereas we have a heavy fighter, and this is conceptually, think of a bouncer. Think of a mob boss, or maybe not a mob boss, kind of like a mafioso enforcer. Think of a gangster or some kind of a thug, whatever. It's like that the Penguin would hire in a Batman comic or something along those lines. Hey, Big Break, good to see you back. Thank you for joining us. Pick your pocket very sneaky like, then shove a two-handed sword through your back. Yeah, or sneak attack with a ballista. If any of you get that reference, by the way, kudos to you. We get a couple things here. We are going to get, as part of our class, expertise. And by this level, we're going to get expertise in four things. That can be 4 skills or 3 skills and thieves' tools. Expertise is going to allow us to add our proficiency bonus again to that skill. So we're really good at it. Cherry says, ring-a-ding, baby. Totally thought of Benny when you're describing him. Sneak attack, thieves can't. That's what we have. We're also going to get cunning action. Is he cunning but killy, or killy but cunning? Another reference, if any of you get that. Uncanny Doge. He has a companion with him. Although having a dog named Uncanny would be very interesting. That's our second expertise, and then we get some evasion. He evades traps as he explores the ruins. And then we get reliable talent, which is really good. Pardon me for knocking something over here with my foot. Our archetype is then going to give us some features, and there's placeholders in this chart because there's 3 different roguish archetypes, so they're not going to include it there. We have to go to those specific areas. Sorcerer, we went too far. We dug too deep. Archetype. Fast hands. You can use the bonus action granted by your cunning action to make a dexterity sleight of hand check to use your thieves' tools to disarm a trap or open a lock. Or take the use an object action. So you can put fast hands here. If you really wanted to, you could put cunning action maybe in parentheses or after a comma, fast hands, as a way to extend that. Whatever works for you at home. And for whatever you have room. Second story work. You gain the ability to climb faster than normal. Climbing no longer costs you extra movement. In addition, when you make a running jump, the distance you cover increases by a number of feet equal to your dex mod. Now, that's initially based off of strength, so this is a good bonus because a lot of rogues don't have a high strength. I think we're going to give him at least a modest one, and that will be accented by his dexterity instead of needing to, I don't know, kind of double down on that. If that makes sense. Supreme Sneak. Starting at 9th level, you have advantage on a dexterity stealth check if you move no more than half your speed on the same turn. And lastly, use magic device. By 13th level, you have learned enough about the workings of magic that you can improvise the use of items even when they are not intended for you. You ignore all class, race, and level requirements on the use of magic items. That can be a lot of fun and help to make up for any shortcomings. Spartan Manic says, this last week when I was DMing, my PC was an evil NPC that looked like his character, and then he stabbed another PC 3 sessions later, and everyone was mad and telling me we can't do that. What would you do if you was in my shoes? Hang on, let me try and break this down again here. I want to make sure I'm understanding it so I can give you a meaningful answer. So last week when I was DMing, my PC wasn't... Are you saying that he looked like this character, or I guess I'm getting a little bit of conflict, Spartan? Would you be able to maybe rephrase that or kind of break it up into a couple smaller ideas for me? That way, I can give you like a really as solid of an answer that I can give and reply. Because I do enjoy running this as a conversation, and if anyone else in the audience too wants to throw in their 2 cents, you're welcome to. He's playing an evil copy of his PC. Delcorin, it's fine. If you just go to, you can use a command to bring up the link to the character sheets. It's in the description on the homepage of this channel, but I believe you can also do ! char sheet. I'll give it a try real quick. There you go. Bada boom. Don't say I never did anything for you. PC does mean player character, big break. That is affirmative. NPC is non-player character. I'm not sure what you mean about program, Delcorin. Which program are you talking about? Alright, so Spartan, you're saying that he was playing an evil copy of his PC. And so you as the DM made an evil copy, like an evil twin of your PC, and your evil twin was going around and attacking the party members, and it sounds like your party members didn't appreciate that. Now, was that out of character? That was as players to DM, they say, hey, let's not go into evil twin stuff, or wow, that was really low of you, or what was the context for them being a little grumbly with the situation? Delcorn, yeah, I use OpenOffice for my word processing. This is just, as Memory said, you can just download Adobe Reader for free, and it works. All right, so here we go. We have a 55-year-old male half-orc rogue going thief. He's level 13, so he's lived a good long life, right? 55. He's on the edge of retirement. He has this sage background, meaning that he's not unintelligent, and we've kind of thrown him into a model similar to like an Indiana Jones or the Nicolas Cage from National Treasure, or Benedict Cumberbatch has come up in the conversation. So think about these aspects for the character as we continue. I think we're going to go for a strength int, maybe strength int dex build. He's going to have a dump stat and something, though. No, you should be fine with it, Delcorin, unless there's, I don't know, a weird version that you might have picked up, or some PDFs might be intrinsically locked, and you have to unlock them in order to modify or save them. It might take a little finagling, but you should just be able to download it and do it. Oh, also, this character, instead of taking the ability score improvements, we rolled, and randomly, we're going to be taking 3 feats instead of those bumps. So he's going to be specialized in a lot of interesting things. And on top of that, look at this. 2, 3, 4. He's going to know at least 5 languages if we don't take something like linguist as one of the feats in order to improve that further. Spartan says, well, myself and him got together and we had a plan where they would find his good self and the evil one would stab one person. Then when it happened, everyone told me that I can't do that and they could not be surprised. I don't know, Spartan. This is, there are some spells and classes, features, etc., that do not allow for the mechanic of a surprise round. I would really have to know the context of your story to be able to specifically address this for you. Ultimately, as a DM, everything that you do has to make sense in some way. And even if you think your characters have all the clues that you've laid before them, not that you need to coddle them, I would not recommend that. But you need to make sure that everything is still operating on a basic level of understanding so that everyone is on board and can roleplay their characters to this lump of clay that you set out in front of them. Hopefully that helps. I can still try and work it through if you wanted to share, if you want to share more, but that's my initial take on what you're saying. Now, what we're starting here, because we have 3 feats, so that's going to be 4, 12, and, or 4, 8, 12 is what we're gonna have. We're gonna have to rely on our feats in order to make us the super special, not just our ability scores themselves. So if we go maybe 14... we could even do like a 14, 15, 13. He's naturally tough for his constitution, but you know, he survived this long. He has hit points. By being a sage, I don't know. I'm sure you all have had the the teacher or professor that just is not good at presenting themselves in as a presenter. They know the subject, they're just not very social or apt. So maybe we can end up doing something along those lines where his charisma is going to be his dump here at 8, and then we'll put our constitution at 10. Because if you're out finding the finding the artifacts, so what if you get a couple scars or you don't look the prettiest? You still have this relic that you can then write your next book on. And who cares that who cares what the author of a book looks like if it has the information that they need? And because he is favoring his human side, he might even not even need to use a nom de plume. He might just have a human name, and no one knows that he's of this heritage, or very very limited people do. Spartan, I'm glad it does help. I'll still try and work through it, or if any of you have other questions, whether it's directly related to what we're doing here or in general, that's the entire point of this show. We're having a conversation about role-playing and storytelling and communication between each other here in this channel, and whenever you go to your virtual or your real tabletops to play whichever game you play. All right, let's apply our bumperoonies here. That's going to go to 16. That's going to go to 11. We're going to wipe these out. I am not yet going to take the modifiers into the saving throws and skills. And the reason for that is because some feats do offer an ability score improvement alongside it. It'll only be a 1, but you'll get an extra effect of some kind. And a couple of these are right on the verge of being able to bump up into the next tier. And so I don't want to do all the calculations and type everything out again when we can have the dust settle afterwards. Because you're going to reference this a lot over here in this column, but you could do these numbers last. Pardon. What we do need to find, however, is there we go. We have a rapier, short sword, a short bow and quiver of 20 arrows, or a short sword, a burglar's pack, dungeoneer's pack, or an explorer's pack, leather armor, 2 daggers, and thieves' tools. So we're getting some equipment from our class. This can also be modified because, look, we're generating a level 13 character. This is only accounting for level 1 starting gear. Has the character acquired more than this in the course of his adventuring? Yes, he probably actually has magic items and things along those lines. I'm not going to be generating those in this session, however, that might be a good thing to do later in the week, where we take a character and we level them up, or we generate some magical loot and see how that affects the character in concept or in mechanics. So hang on to that thought, because he will have more than what he has here. In fact, I think I might purposely leave the equipment section blank, because that sounds like a really good idea. Because you and I, the plural you and the I guess the not plural I, can go on a shopping trip for a higher level character, and we can use either a budget of gold, and then I'll just take an hour and we'll go through magic items and I'll explain things, and I can also go over mundane items, because I'd love to do that as a segment in itself with you all, to say, why would you want to have chalk as a character? What good would block and tackle do? Why would you want a bedroll instead of a backpack, or do you want both? Things along those lines. So, as a placeholder, I'm going to keep any additional weapons or armor off the character, meaning AC also, so that we can come back later and pick him up as another project. Let's keep generating in the meantime. Memory says I would say at least a 12 or 13 in Dex. That would suggest the way this build would kind of go. And wow, that was delayed, lol. Rytel says, all of this is just fascinating. I've been playing tabletop RP for a long time, but very infrequently, and I've always struggled with it. Just from this one stream, I'm learning a lot. Thank you for saying so. That's the point of what I want to do with you all every time that I broadcast. To spur ideas, to get you to think on the margin. What's the one next step you can take? How to turn adversity into opportunity. An adversity of, I have writer's block. I have a blank character sheet. I want to write a story. I want to make a character. I want to do something. How can you pull random elements out and weave them together into a tale? Okay, so these things like sneak attack, expertise, you're going to need to look them up. I'm not going to read over them in this session. You have a reference for it. It's easy enough to find. Now we need to come down to feats. He's going to take 3 at level 4, 8, and I guess I could pull like a foot up with 4 toes as well, and 12. Every 4 levels, we're getting an ability score increase, or ASI, as you'll see it often abbreviated. An ASI is +2 to the score of 1 ability, or +1 to the scores of 2. As an option, your DM may decide to allow play with feats. Feats allow for specialization, and so while you're not broadly getting better stats, you might get a slight stat bump or no stat bump, and you're really good at a segment of something. It could be a combat skill, it could be a utility skill, and I don't mean skill as the list up here. You're just really focused on something. In our random character creation, 3, we're replacing 3 ASIs with feats, and it just so happens he just would have gotten that anyway. So his stats are all but locked in unless the feats are going to change it, and we're going to go to that right now to try and shore him up and get things set before we take our break and come back for a little bit of storytelling, Q&A. I can answer questions a little bit more directly, and we'll wind down the evening in that regard. Okay, equipment, character customization. Here we go. Listed alphabetically. Here are feats right after where it talks about multi-classing. And by the way, we will be doing a multi-class character. I think I have a good idea for a request that has been made by a regular in the chat to build a Barbarian Wizard, and specifically he thought a Necromancer sounded cool, a Necromancer specialty. It's a bit of a challenge, and is this going to be a care-op project? No, it's not going to be maximum damage output or damage avoidance, but it's going to be a solid, fun Barbarian Wizard fusion. And we'll do that in a little bit here. Find the medium of how much GP a PC would get by this time, then I'll do that as part of the session too, Memory. You bring up a good point. And as all of you do, talk, pay attention to each other, because I'm not the only person with this kind of wisdom and experience in the room. Okay, so we have this character in mind, kind of a treasure hunter, kind of a lecturer. He is intellectual and he does adventure. So we need to look at feats that will allow for this to happen. Because we are going to be featured, we're going to be given 3. It would seem to make sense that we go maybe combat, utility, and some kind of support, maybe? Let's see what's here. If any of you have recommendations or you want me to scroll back to a page, let me know and I will go back, I'll read it, or, I'll let your eyes linger on it for a little bit. Actor, no, I don't think acting is this thing. When you use dash, which rogues are good at, especially, you can use a bonus action to make 1 melee weapon attack to shove a creature. I don't know if shoving is going to be a big thing. Crossbow experts, that would allow us to focus on a crossbow. We haven't really defined what his weapons are yet, so I'm kind of hesitant on taking that for right now. Defensive Duelist, he does meet the prerequisite, Dexterity 13 or higher, when you're wielding a finesse weapon with which you are proficient and another creature hits you with a melee attack. You can use your reaction to add your proficiency bonus to your AC for the attack, potentially causing the attack to miss you. So that means you're a little twitchy and you can go on guard and, you know, smack away a claw coming in at you with a finesse weapon. Dual Wielder could be interesting. You master fighting with 2 weapons, gaining the following benefits. Pardon me. Athlete, increase your strength or dex by 1. When you're prone, standing up uses only 5 feet of movement. Climbing doesn't have your speed, but we already have that. You can make a running long jump after only 5 feet rather than 10. I don't know. We're getting some bonuses to running and climbing and all that. Athlete, it'd be nice to get the bump because we could put that in dex, and so our strength and dex are above average each. It seems a little redundant. Now, in that instance, I would recommend talk to your DM and say, look, most of this feat fits my character, but I'm getting a redundancy here. Can we tweak something in some fashion? Maybe he or she will say no. Maybe they'll say yes. Doesn't hurt to ask. Just make sure that it's a polite conversation. Alert, you gain +5 to initiative. You can't be surprised while you're conscious. Other creatures don't gain advantage on attack rolls against you as a result of being hidden from you. That could be an interesting one. Let's do... We can always use these as placeholders. If there's another one, we'll just erase it, right? We're taking 3. Boom, boom, boom. Dungeon Delver. Alert to hidden traps and secret doors found in many dungeons. You gain the following benefits. You have advantage on wisdom perception and intelligence investigation checks, and hey, we're trained in those, and we could even be expertise trained in those. Made to detect the presence of secret doors. You have advantage on saving throws made to avoid or resist traps. You have resistance to the damage dealt by traps, which halves your damage. And you can search for traps while traveling at a normal pace. That one sounds really good for what he's doing. Dungeon Delver. So there's another one. Durable. If we do take that, our con would increase by 1, giving us a new modifier, therefore giving us at least 13 extra hit points. That might not be bad. When you roll a hit die to regain hit points, the minimum number equals twice your con mod. That could be cool. He doesn't have the ability to cast. He's not an arcane trickster. Grappler. I don't see him necessarily as a grappler, nor a great weapon master. Definitely not an inspiring leader. This could be another interesting one. This will allow us to raise our int score by 1, which will bump up the modifier. You learn another 3 languages of our choice, and we can ably create written ciphers. I'm going to put this down as an option as well. A linguist. Lucky is a very good universal feat to take. It's just that. You're lucky, you add a d20 to your dice pools, and it puts things in your favor. It is good. It is general. Any character presumably could take it. For that reason, for what we're doing, I don't want to take it, because it does, unless we're making a specifically lucky character as part of the backstory or something along those lines, it's just super generic, and so I wouldn't want to take that, because I feel like in a broadcast that is supposed to explain creative differences in things, or to think on the fly, or to turn weaknesses into roleplay opportunities, lucky is just, it's generally good. And I don't know, you can take it every game. Some people probably do. I will not take lucky, though, for the characters we're generating here tonight. Mage Slayer, moderately armor. Now this could be interesting too. Moderately armored. Increase your strength or dex by 1 to a maximum of 20. You gain proficiency with medium armor and shields. So this would take him into that kind of fighter realm. Now, if we did this, light armor gives you a flat bonus, and you can add an unlimited dex to it. Medium armor gives you a flat bonus, and you can add dex to it to a cap of 2. This could be interesting if he is going to suit up and maybe go into a more dangerous area. He can go sword and board as a rogue and be a little bit more protected in that regard. It's an option. We'll put it down as such. And Manic Combatant, I don't really see that. Magic Initiate, we can give him the ability to cast magic, but by this point he can use magic items, and so I just don't see that as being relevant. Observant, your increase wisdom by 1. You can see a creature's mouth. You can understand and interpret what it's saying. You have a +5 bonus to your passive wisdom, perception, and passive intelligence. That could be another good one too. We can go Observant. Polearm, medium armor, mobile. Your speed increases. Take the dash action. That could be another good one too. Rituals, more magic, savage attacker. There's a lot, and you know what? Some of the 5th edition splat books, even the official ones, give you more feat options, let alone if you go for third-party stuff. Memory has been commenting. Okay, Alert is a good one. I was thinking Alert, Delver, the halfling trait. Yeah, Lucky is sort of like everyone's a halfling. Or halflings just get this somewhat intrinsically for free. Sharpshooter's combat. That's not too bad per se. Shieldmaster. That's kind of doubling up. I don't think he'd be too good for that. Skilled, you gain proficiency in any combination of 3 skills and tools. We could put more dots in and just be the uber skill monkey of the group, right? You're just good at so much stuff. Skulker, we meet that. You can try and hide while you're lightly obscured from the creature. When you're hidden, I just don't see him necessarily as a skulker. He could be stealthy, but that doesn't fit too well, in my opinion. If you guys want to make a case for it, please do so. I'm open-minded. My ego is not riding on the line with this character. Tavern Brawler, tough, Warcast. Okay. So we have Alert, moderately armored, Dungeon Delver, Observant, Linguist, and Mobile as options. We need to choose 3 of these. I went over them briefly, audibly, if anyone even just sounds cool. Let me know what you're thinking. Memory has posted up a couple that he thinks would fit this character. I'd love to hear some other voices, even if you just agree and you say, I agree, or second. That's fine too. Because once we get that, our character will be... He'll be done for now. This is going to be a 2-parter because the next one is going to be a lesson in purchasing items, including magic items. We can talk about magic items and how those can affect things like to hit and all these other aspects. Alerts, Delver, and Skilled is what Memory's posting. If any of you are lurking out there, you can type your 2 cents in as well. Yeah, we don't need to worry about the rest there. So once we fill this in, he's gonna be pretty good here. While you guys in chat are writing, I want to make sure. Okay, that's going to be our Dex mod. We'll fill that in once we get Feats, armor class. That is going to stay until we give him equipment that is appropriate for his level. Inspiration, proficiency's there. We don't need this as reference, so coming up with a name, by the way, not just talking about feats. If you're not comfortable talking about mechanics of D&D, what kind of a name would a character like this convey to you? Bear in mind, he is half-orc, so we can make it sound savage. He does favor his human half, so we can take a little bit of that edge off in some way, or however you want to run it. He's very mutable. We could even just call him by a nickname of some kind. You know, the Sunset or something along those lines. Alert, Delver, and Moderately Armored. That's a combo. It sounds like a combo to me. Big Break. Ooh, throwing in a first and last suggestion here. Palor Malancast. So let's say Big Break. Let's say I go with this. What does that name convey or mean? Give me a little sentence of support at least. You know, one or two. What's your idea between or about? Palor. Oh, okay. Kind of like. Okay, got it. Palor Malancast. Why would this half-orc int strength rogue be named Palor? If we go with the 3 feats that memory is suggesting, we're going to have to come back over here and say light, medium armor, and shields. Strength or dex bumps up. Probably our dex. Let's get that nice extra boosty. Dungeon Delver, we're going to have to make a mental note because there's going to be a lot there to write. But we're not getting a mechanical benefit from it through an ability score improvement. So it's there. We just need to, as a player, understand that and reference our feat. And if we go alert, this is going to be dex plus 5. And these other conditional items. Memory saying alert Delver in moderate armor hits a broad range of things. He's got enough languages and skills. Need to hit a few other things. That makes perfect sense. We have a battle skill, right? We have a kind of a survival utility skill, and kind of 2. Though the alert can even help the rest of the party if he can't be surprised and he can shout out warnings. It's not all just a personal thing. Very cool. Thank you, Memory. Those are good suggestions and reasons. Big Break is coming back and saying Palor Malancast. It's the closest name his father could to find for a human name. Palor, similar to Palinor or Palinor. No other orc names translate to human tongue. Okay. So he has an orc name, though because he's favoring his human side, he's taken a human name and he prefers to be called his human name. Is this what I'm understanding, Big Break? Thieves' Tools equals Delver? I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'm getting what you're talking about there, Memory. Are we going back for our expertise? Because with these feats, now, I mean, we're getting to do this ahead of, we're kind of going back and doing this in any order. Could we have built the character this way from the ground up, level by level? Maybe not. We might be fudging it a bit, but for purposes of what we're doing here, I'd rather just think openly and creatively. But if, let's say we go Thieves' Tools, I think we should also then go Perception. Come here, you. investigation. And then we have one more skill that we should take expertise in, which is going to add double proficiency. Also, why is Arcana? Arcana shouldn't be. Or no, derp. Arcana was because of Sage, which could be interesting and important because if he's hunting secrets and ruins and all that, that might be an interesting thing to give expertise to as well. Having your party's thief do an Arcana check is, I don't know, there's something that seems really gratifying about that. But he has Persuasion, Perception, Investigation, Intimidation, History, Athletics, and Arcana. History could be very relevant too for an artifact seeker. Deception, he's not necessarily a deception style rogue. Not in concept and not really in build. Especially because Charisma is his dump stat. It's not a bad suggestion though, Rhodey. Just maybe if we built him a little differently, that'd be more appropriate. Big Break is saying it's the only orc name his human parent could kind that could bridge both cultures. Oh, probably find. Okay. Memory saying, Delver will give a huge bonus towards traps. Are you saying then that we shouldn't take expertise in thieves' tools? Because we still need those tools in order to to get through this. We're just able to detect, or if we set something off, survive it a little bit better. So right now we have Thieves' Tools, Perception, Investigation. I think this should be either History or Arcana, personally. I think that would really fit the character, and this would help determine which area should he be a little stronger in. Is he more of a magic, because he can use magical devices, is he kind of like a magical hunter of things? Or is he a historical artifact, not necessarily magical artifact hunter of things? Because there's no more of those, I'm going to put in our modifiers. Not at all. Take the Thieves' Tools. Yeah, I agree. I think sticking with the Thieves' Tools. In this case, so I'm presenting to you all the quandary of, for his final expertise, should we go History or should we go Arcana? Which flavor do we want to take this knowledge rogue in? Because they do overlap in a Venn diagram. Like, you'll find a lot of historical things that are magical and magical things historical. Where do we want him to shine more, though? In historical things or in magical things? Pardon me. Dex. What else do we have as Dex here? Dun, dun, dun. Wisdom. Wisdom 1. Wisdom 1. More Wisdom 1. Now in this case, because he has expertise in perception, we're adding our proficiency twice and adding the modifier. So his perception is going to be plus 11, right? 1 from the wisdom bonus and 10 from the proficiency, which means when we come down here to our passive, that's 10 plus our modifier, meaning that our passive wisdom is going to be a 21. Now, while I'm happy with this build because you can use perception in a lot of other instances, if we take Dungeon Delver, I could argue that we wouldn't need the expertise in perception because things like finding traps and secret doors is given to us specifically by the feat. But then again, how often are we going to be in a dungeon underground? This is also for being out in the woods or, on a mountaintop looking out over the land. No, I agree, Memory Lapse. I think Thieves' Tools is a great idea. Oh, and Survival. Let's fill this in while we're at that +1 modifier. Alright, I'm going to make the executive decision then. Let us make him an Arcana guy. Maybe he wants to understand it, but he does in his own way, which is why he can use magic devices. In fact, he can use that magic knowledge to finagle magic devices a little bit better. So I'm going to fill this in. We're going to go Arcana, meaning that we're going to get a +11 to that. History is going to be a +6. Investigation is going to be a +11. Nature is going to be a +1. And religion is going to be a +1. Next up is athletics, so that's going to be an 8. Dun, dun, dun. There we go. Make the note for we're being expertise in Thieves' Tools. Even if it's redundant, it'll help us remember. That is the only strength skill, at least on the list. You can do 5th edition. You can run anything through anything if you can explain it. But by default, athletics is strength. Deception is chaw. Not too good at deceiving people. He does get intimidation by way of being a half-orc, so he's going to get a +4 in this regard. Even though he's not the best at working with people, but he can scare him off. He's an ogre, right? Just not actually an ogre by the monster manual. -1. Whoops, +4. There we go. Arcana is good because there's magic traps too. Yes, that is correct. You did explicitly say it. Arcana can help disarm not just the poison needle trap, but the trap that is going to shoot a fireball at your face. Let's take our dex, which is 3, add our improved initiative. So he's going to be a twitchy guy up here. And since we have our constitution, which is 0, that's going to be 8 + 0. So for his first level, it's going to be 8 hit points. And then for his other levels, so for his 12 other levels, it's going to be 12 times 5. And the reason it's 5 is for basic math, and this is the way I would recommend that you run D&D. I've done this. I've not experienced anything bad. You take half +1 what the hit dice are. It makes things a lot easier to predict and manage, to know that this is how many hit points I'm going to get every turn. I use a Barbarian as an example. They have D12 hit die. And let's say you want to make Kronk Smash the Barbarian, like that's his formal first and last name is Kronk Smash. And you're this big berserker person, and suddenly for the next 3 levels you roll 1s on your D12s. Suddenly Kronk Smash, but Kronk Smash more carefully. Instead, if you know that Kronk Smash in every turn and every level he's getting 7 hit points, it's one less thing the player has to worry about. Full hit points, no temps. We're going to worry about armor class when we get a shield and armor and all that other stuff. We have all these other notes, so I think we're good here. We had a name which Big Break offered and explained, which is going to be Palor Malancast, and we can write a little note that it's the closest name his father could find to a human name. Okay. So it's an orcish name that sounds like a human one. I guess that's kind of the point there to back that up. Okay. And we can come up with other details. Think about things like hair and skin and eyes. Here we have again... Oh, I was thinking... Yeah, there we go. If you want to think of this stuff and offer it, I'm going to be taking a break, getting up and stretching, drinking a little bit more tea, moving around a little bit. So we're going to take about a 5-minute break, maybe, whatever, a couple minutes if you guys have to, go upstairs or downstairs or do something. And then we will come back with a little bit of Q&A, just kind of some fun wind down time. If you have questions I can answer, maybe I can tell a story. We'll go from there. In the meantime, though, if you want to submit different concepts for his hair, not just his, the color, but, his style, is it oily, is it wavy, does he have an ombre, something like that. His skin isn't just his skin color, but does he have spots, or is he a lot of scars, that kind of a thing. Eyes, continue on. And then we'll put the character away for now and revisit him later when we do purchasing of mundane and magical goods, and then we'll fully equip this character as a level 13 character and flesh him out even more than just the backstory. So I am going to pause the redundant music. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. Okay, memory. That's good to consider for his background. I think we can wiggle that in there. Go ahead and get up and do what you need to do. We will come back in a little bit here. I'm going to stretch myself, and we will take the broadcast home tonight after putting away this character.